While tanks won battles, the wheels beneath the supplies won the war. From the mud of Moscow to the ruins of Berlin, here is every Soviet truck and car from World War II. Starting off with standard cargo trucks, Gaz AA. This legendary machine was based on an American design and became the backbone of Soviet transport. It was rugged and simple. It could be repaired in the middle of a field with basic tools. Gaz MM. A simplified version of its predecessor, it featured a more powerful engine for the harsh front lines. It was a true workhorse. It kept the Red Army moving through the darkest days of the invasion. Gaz AAA. This three-axle variant provided the extra traction needed for muddy terrain. It often served as a mobile platform for anti-aircraft guns and radio equipment. The extra set of wheels made a huge difference off-road. Sidis 5, often called the three-tonner, this truck was famous for its incredible reliability. It could run on almost any quality of fuel. It survived some of the worst roads on Earth during the long push to Berlin. ZI-6, a heavy six-wheeler that earned its place in history by carrying the terrifying Katyusha rocket launchers. It was tough and powerful. This beast was essential for moving heavy artillery across broken ground. ZIS-12. Built with a special elongated frame, this vehicle was perfect for carrying large searchlights. It played a vital role in the air defense units. It helped protect Soviet cities from nighttime bombing raids. The next one, ZIS-32. This rare all-wheel drive model was built to tackle the deep mud of the spring and autumn seasons. It offered impressive mobility on the Eastern Front. Production was unfortunately cut short to focus on simpler designs as the war intensified. The next one, YAG-6. This 5-ton beast was used for the heaviest transport tasks. While it was slow and cumbersome, its massive carrying capacity was vital for logistics. It could haul loads that would break smaller trucks. Next, YAG-10. A giant 8-ton truck with 3 axles. It was one of the largest Soviet vehicles of the era. Only a small number were ever made. They were incredibly powerful and were used for the most demanding transport roles. GAZ-410, a dedicated dump truck that played a key role in construction and repair work. It was indispensable for clearing debris in ruined cities. It also helped build new airfields for the Air Force during the advance. Now let's look at obsolete pre-war trucks. AMO F-15. As the first truck ever mass-produced in the Soviet Union, it was quite old by the time the war began. Still, many remained in service for secondary duties. It represents the very beginning of the nation's motor industry. AMO-2. This model introduced modern assembly techniques to the factories. It served as an important bridge between early designs and the heavy trucks of the 1940s. It was a significant step forward in Soviet engineering. AMO-3. This reliable transport was the direct ancestor of the famous ZIS-5. It proved its worth in the early years of the conflict. It served faithfully in support roles until newer models eventually took over. GAZ-TK. This 3-axle vehicle was built for the rough stuff. It could handle off-road terrain better than standard trucks. It served as a versatile platform for everything from fuel tanks to radio equipment. Continuing with wood gas and coal gas trucks. GAZ-42. This truck ran on wood gas instead of liquid fuel. It carried a large furnace on the side to burn wood blocks. It was slow and lacked power, but it kept moving when gasoline was nowhere to be found. GAZ-43. This was another clever solution to fuel shortages. It used compressed gas to keep the engine running. It played a quiet but essential role in keeping supply lines moving during the height of the conflict. ZIS-21. This heavy truck used wood gas to get around. The large canisters on the side gave it a very distinct look. It was a lifesaver in remote areas where standard fuel was impossible to find. Next on the list is half-track trucks. GAZ-60. This half-track was designed to conquer the Russian winter. The rear wheels were replaced with tracks to handle deep snow. It was a tough machine that could reach places standard trucks simply could not go. Up next, ZIS-22. This was an early attempt at a heavy half-track. It struggled with reliability at first. However, it paved the way for more successful designs that would eventually dominate the muddy roads of the Eastern Front. ZDS-33. This was an interesting field conversion. It featured removable tracks that could be fitted over the wheels. While it was not the most durable design, it provided much-needed mobility in the thick mud of spring. ZIS-42. This was a truly successful half-track. It was built to endure the most brutal conditions imaginable. Its wide tracks allowed it to float over deep snow and soft mud while towing heavy guns. Next on the list is light utility vehicles and staff cars. GAZ-A. This was the first mass-produced passenger car in the Soviet Union. It was based on an American design. It served as a reliable staff car for officers during the early days of the conflict. GAZ-M1. Known fondly as the MK, this was the most common staff car of the war. It was tough, simple to fix, and could handle the terrible roads. It carried commanders across thousands of miles of frontline territory. GAZ-1173. This car was a faster and more powerful version of the standard staff vehicle. It had a 6-cylinder engine that gave it much better performance. It was often reserved for high-ranking officials who needed to travel quickly. Up next, GAZ-M415. Based on a popular sedan, this pickup was a vital light transport. It carried supplies and messengers across rough terrain. It moved with surprising agility. GAZ-61. This was the first Soviet 4x4 passenger car. It was a favorite for high-ranking commanders. They used it to reach the front lines through deep mud. Up next, GAZ-64. Developed in just 51 days, this rugged little scout car proved its worth immediately. It was the Soviet answer to the modern Jeep. The next one, GAZ-67. This was an improvement over its predecessor. It had a wider track for better stability. It became a staple for pulling light artillery. ZIS-101. This luxury limousine was reserved for the highest officials. It provided comfort and status. It was used even during the darkest days of the conflict. Next on the list is tracked artillery tractors and prime movers. T-20 Komsomolets. This small armoured tractor was essential for towing light anti-tank guns. It protected its crew from small arms fire. It was very reliable while moving under pressure. Then, STZ-3. Originally built for farming, this tracked tractor was pressed into military service. It was slow, however, it was incredibly reliable when pulling heavy loads. STZ-5. Designed specifically for the military, this tractor featured a cab-over-engine layout. It was the backbone of many artillery units. It served throughout the whole war. Stalinets S-60. This massive machine was a true beast of burden. It moved at a walking pace. Even so, nothing could stop it from hauling the heaviest equipment. Stalinets S-65. This heavy tractor was driven by a powerful diesel engine. It excelled in extreme cold. It was crucial for moving heavy siege guns into position. Stalinets S-2. This model was built for speed compared to its cousins. It was much faster. This allowed heavy batteries to relocate quickly during rapid offensives. Comintern, a giant among tractors. This machine could tow the largest howitzers in the inventory. It was an impressive sight on the muddy roads of the Eastern Front. The next one, Voroshilovets. This was the ultimate heavy hauler of the Soviet military. It had massive power and a tracked design. No terrain was too difficult for it to conquer. Kommunar. This crawler was an early beast of burden based on German designs. It proved essential for hauling heavy artillery through thick mud, where trucks simply failed. Yar-12. This high-speed tractor was a game-changer for the Red Army. Its diesel engine provided the torque needed to move massive guns across the front lines with surprising speed. Continuing with agricultural tractors. Now let's look at motorcycles. M72. This iconic heavy motorcycle was inspired by German engineering and became a staple of Soviet reconnaissance. With its rugged sidecar, it carried crews and machine guns into the heat of battle. TIS AM600. Built for heavy-duty service, this motorcycle often carried a sidecar equipped with a light machine gun. It was a sturdy and respected mount for scouts and messengers alike. PMZ A750. This machine featured a powerful 5-twin engine that set it apart from its peers. It was a heavy and complex motorcycle that provided reliable transport for officers and specialized units. IZH-8. This was a refined version of its predecessor with a slightly better engine and improved reliability. It offered a bit more punch for riders who needed to cover ground quickly across the vast Soviet landscape. Up next, L-300. Known as the Red October, this was the first mass-produced motorcycle in the Soviet Union. It was a lightweight and nimble machine that helped train an entire generation of military riders. L-8. This compact staff car was built for speed and agility. It served officers well when moving between command posts on the front lines. Next on the list is buses, ambulances, and specialized support vehicles. GAZ 0330. You would see this bus everywhere during the war. It was the most common transport for moving troops and was built on a very sturdy GAZ chassis. Next, GAZ 55. This was a lifesaver on the battlefield. It was a dedicated ambulance designed to carry the wounded away from the heat of combat. ZE's 8, a real powerhouse of a bus. It was built on a heavy ZIS truck frame. This made it tough enough to handle the muddy roads of the Eastern Front. ZIS 16, this vehicle had a much more modern and streamlined look. While it started as a city bus, it quickly became a reliable mobile office for military staff. ZIS 44. Built on a heavy ZIS truck chassis, this ambulance was a massive presence. It could carry a large number of injured soldiers over very rough terrain. Now this is the BZ-38U. This was an upgraded BZ refueler with a more efficient pumping system. It allowed for faster turnarounds when tanks and trucks needed fuel in a hurry. BZ-42. This heavy-duty tanker was built for the most demanding tasks. It was often found right behind the front lines, keeping the heavy tank divisions fueled up. Palm 1. This was a mobile repair shop on wheels. It carried all the tools needed to fix damaged trucks right there in the field, keeping the supply lines open. Next, Palm 2, a much more heavy-duty version of the PARM field workshop. It was equipped to handle major mechanical failures that would normally require a factory visit. GAZ 05193. This six-wheeled staff bus was built for the high command. Its extra axle gave it the stability needed to cross uneven ground during the long marches. PMZ-2. This model upgraded the previous design with a more powerful pump. It was a vital tool for saving cities. It helped fight the devastating fires caused by aerial bombardment. PMG-1. A nimble and lighter fire truck built on a reliable four-wheeled frame. It was fast and efficient. It helped emergency crews reach narrow streets where larger vehicles could not fit. RSBF. This mobile radio station kept high-level commanders in touch with the front lines. It was a lifeline for communication. Coordination of massive tank movements would have been impossible without it. Finally, we have Aerosans, NKL-16. This was a high-speed, propeller-driven sled designed for frozen landscapes. It could fly over the snow with ease. It was perfect for scouting when regular trucks were stuck in deep drifts. NKL-26. This armored propeller sled was a nightmare for enemies in the deep snow. It glided over frozen landscapes where heavy tanks would just get stuck. With a machine gun on top and a powerful engine in the back, it provided vital speed and firepower during the harshest winters. It was truly a king of the ice. Now this is the RF-8. This was a light and nimble snow glider that focused on pure speed. Since it lacked heavy armor, it relied on its agility to scout ahead and relay messages. It was a simple yet effective way to stay mobile when the ground was buried under feet of ice and powder. It felt like flying across the frozen tundra.